Hello everybody, Wannabe Reviewer here, and welcome back to the Wannabe Podcast, episode 14. Now I know we've only been a few days into the new year, but I just want to say that I hope that the new year is going good for you guys so far, and that you guys are, I guess you can say, enjoying your year so far. Me personally, I've been doing pretty good. The only thing that kind of sucks is trying to get back into the groove of work and not being in that like holiday mindset. But besides that, you know, pretty good so far. So hopefully that keeps up. Before we begin this week's podcast, I just want to say up front that I'm pretty sure it's going to be a short episode because honestly, looking at my list of things I did this week, I only have 3 things on the list, and looking at the news, there's only like 6 different stories that are each pretty short. So, I mean, if this is a short episode, you know, hey, at least I gave you a heads up, I guess, so, you know. With that being said, let's dive into my week, and as always, we're going to start with manga, and I did indeed start a new manga series. The manga that I read this week, and that I got about, I want to say like 9 chapters into, is a little manga series called Sleepy Princess in the Demon Castle. And yeah, it's a pretty unique and interesting story. Before I really talk about it, the way I got into it is that the girl who did my new art, you guys might have noticed that I have a new little profile picture, you know, a new, like, what would you call it? Like a new channel avatar, I guess. The girl who did that art, her name is Star Pirate, and you guys can catch her on, you know, Twitter. You guys can catch her on twitch.tv. I think she's basically called Star Pirate across all social media, but she's this really talented artist that's done art before for the Super Best Friends, for Game Grumps, for, I believe, like Achievement Hunter, whole bunch of different channels. And yeah, her art is really awesome. And I actually caught a stream of hers where she was doing like basically like open commissions on stream. And while I asked to get my avatar done, you know, I was watching her just kind of, you know, hanging out, and she was talking about manga, and she mentioned this manga series. And so that's where I got the idea to read it. And so, you know, to dive into the manga, Sleepy Princess in the Demon Castle is labeled as a comedy, magic, fantasy, slice of life. And that might sound like a huge mishmash of stuff, but it's true. It really is a little bit of everything. Basically what the manga's about is that there's this demon king who wants to rule the world. And so he steals this princess from this like human kingdom, and he keeps her hostage. And so basically he says, you know, if you want your princess back, you'll like turn like all the power over to me. Like basically he wants to like rule everything. And so from there, we shift over to the princess, and everyone thinks that she's so miserable and she must be so lonely and scared by herself, locked in the demon castle. And no, not really. Honestly, the biggest thing she is bored. And so she decides that since there's nothing else to do, what she'll do is sleep to pass the time, you know, because she knows that some knight will probably, you know, launch a huge adventure to come get her. So she's like, you know, I'll probably get rescued eventually or whatever, so I'll just sleep to pass the time. And basically every chapter is this like really funny like misadventure of her trying to find a different way to, I guess you can say, make her surroundings more comfortable. So like in the first chapter, she is, you know, she's not fond of the pillow that she's been given because like the pillowcase is really coarse and the stuffing is like really hard. And it's like the whole first chapter is about her basically tricking some of the, they're like these little like weird demonic teddy bears with wings that are delivering the food to her. And so basically she tricks them into letting her brush them to get like their fur. And then she puts that together with some cloth that I think she like runs around, you know, she like escapes her cell, and then she goes and steals like some cloth, and she like makes herself a pillow and then just goes to bed. And, you know, she's happy. And like the Demon King even is like wondering like, oh, you know, so they tell him like, oh, the princess escaped her cell, and he's like worried. And then he goes and sees her just sleeping, and he's like, okay, I guess. And everyone's just super confused in the castle because basically, like I said, every chapter is her basically finding a way to like leave her cell and find different materials to help her sleep. And I don't know, it's just really funny. It's really quirky. And the princess is really funny because she has this attitude where, like, very one-track mind where all she wants is materials to help her with her sleeping experience. And just the way she outwits and tricks, the different castle members is really funny, and everyone having to deal with her. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm like 9 chapters into it. I know it's an ongoing series that I forget, I think it's like chapter like almost 200. Like it's been going for quite a while, but so far I'm enjoying it. So I would recommend it. If you just want a lighthearted, simple to read, funny little manga series, then there you go. And like I said, that is called Sleepy Princess in the Demon Castle. Let's see. Moving on to anime. I didn't watch any new anime. During the last podcast, I had said that I know the anime season is wrapping up. And the winter 2019 anime season is supposed to start, this week. But as of, the recording of this podcast, I had not watched any new anime series yet. All I can say is I did watch some of the stuff I had been watching before. I caught up on the newest episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I caught up on the newest episode of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. Both continue to be really good shows, but not really much to say because, as I said, it's a show I've talked about before, and honestly, I'd rather just talk about them in depth once they're finished. So, let's see here. Moving on, I did watch a movie this week, and that was Aquaman. And Aquaman, I don't know. Like, I have kind of mixed feelings about it. Like, I think out of the DC EU movies, it is one of the better ones. I would put it probably like under Wonder Woman, because it's entertaining, it's fun, it has some cool stuff going on. But at the same time, it's very much a DC EU movie where it just has like a lot of problems too with like pacing and length and tone and stuff. Like, I don't know. But yeah, basically for anyone who doesn't know, Aquaman takes place after the Justice League movie. So within the movie, they do reference the fact that Aquaman was a part of the Justice League. And basically, it serves almost like as an origin story, which is weird because we've already seen Aquaman before, but whatever. But it serves as kind of like an origin story to Aquaman. And it's all about him having to fight his half-brother for the throne of Atlantis. Because his half-brother basically wants to destroy, the human world, because of how we like keep polluting and like messing up the ocean. And so he wants to destroy the world. And so Aquaman needs to fight him to, get him to stop trying to destroy the human world, basically. And like I said, overall, it's a pretty good movie. It was fun. There was some stuff I enjoyed about it. Like there was some jokes that were pretty good. Seeing Aquaman in action was more interesting than I thought it would be. But, it also had some downsides. Like I do think it's very long. I think it's more than I want to say it's like 2 hours and like 20 minutes, which is like super long. And I don't know, there is sometimes that the jokes feel like they are a little bit too forced. Like they're trying a little too hard to be funny. Like for instance, there's a part near the beginning, I mean, it's not really much of a spoiler, where Aquaman busts into a sub and he like crashes down through the top of the sub. And some guys are pointing some guns at him. And he just like has his back turned. And he does that like look over his shoulder. And he says, "Permission to come on board." And the camera like focuses on his face for like a few seconds. And then it cuts back to the guys. And they look at each other. And then they start attacking him. And like, I don't know, just like that momentum and like the way it pauses for the joke almost like give you a chance to laugh is like really awkward. And I feel like there's a few jokes like that. But I don't know. I mean, like I said, on the other hand, there was some good jokes. So I don't know. When it comes to villains, Aquaman's half-brother, he's fine. I mean, I wouldn't say he's memorable, but he's okay. He's at least better than the secondary antagonist, who's Black Manta. Black Manta's basically this guy who wears like this weird robotic suit that shoots like plasma lasers. Like that guy, I felt like his story was very forced. I feel that as an enemy, like, I don't know. I mean, he did put up a fight against Aquaman, but he didn't feel very memorable or like that much of a threat. And so, yeah, I don't know. Without really getting into spoilers, that's what I mean. That the movie, it's fine. It has some good things, but it also has some bad things. I mean, I don't know. Maybe later on the channel, I'll do like a more in-depth review, you know, spoiler free, of course. I always try to keep it spoiler free, but maybe I'll do a little bit more of a in-depth review that talks about like the pros and the cons. But overall, I thought it was fine. I wouldn't like hurry out to see it in theaters, but you know, I mean, if someone invites you to watch it, it's not that much a waste of time, and you can always rent it, I guess. Like I said, at least it's enjoyable enough. So finally, the last thing that I want to talk about that I watched this week is that I actually watched season 3 of a series of unfortunate events. And yeah, overall, I think that these 3 seasons were very well done. This last season actually, you know, concluded the story. It covered the last, what was it, like 4 books I needed to cover. And overall, I really liked it. There were some things that were a bit awkward. Like if you're a book reader, there is some things you'll notice are like TV original ideas and scenes that, while some of them are really well implemented, there are some that do feel a little awkward and out of place. But overall, I just think that it was really good. I mean, I think the acting of everyone was really good, especially Neil Patrick Harris as Count Olaf and Patrick Warburton as, you know, Lemony Snicket. I thought they did an excellent job. Anytime either of them was on screen was excellent. I think that the way they covered all the books was good. I feel like they took just enough time covering each story, you know, because sometimes you feel like when there's like a book that gets adapted to something else, sometimes it feels like a lot gets cut out, but here it felt like they spent just enough time on each story. And the way it ended was really interesting. Basically, it ends in an original way that is not how the books end. Basically, the way the books end, it's a very like melancholy thing where Lemony Snicket is basically saying that he doesn't know what happened to the Baudelaire orphans. You know, he's been dedicating his life to researching them, but like unfortunately, he doesn't know what became of them. And that's kind of where it just leaves off. And here there is like a definite conclusion. Like, they get a conclusion of sorts. Like, we kind of get the idea of what happened to them. Like, it is ambiguous, but not that ambiguous. Like, we do kind of have an idea of what happened to them. And Lemony Snicket himself also gets some closure. Where instead of just being this, like, depressed guy dedicating his life to a cause that, you know, he doesn't know what happened to these kids, he seems to, at the end, get some closure, which is nice. And yeah, so overall, excellent show. Would recommend. I think if you read the books, I think you will enjoy the series. Though, as I said, I think there will be some scenes that might, you know, feel a little out of place. But then again, you know, at least that's that's counterbalanced by the fact that there's some scenes that are inserted that do explain some things that we never really get explained in the books. A lot of things were left ambiguous, and there's some stuff that was explained, or at least there was like a little bit of backstory that kind of helped things be a little smoother. So yeah, overall, enjoy the show and recommend it. Alrighty, so with that being said, that's all I did this week, really. Let's see, read a bit of manga, watched the movie, watched the TV show, and yeah, it's basically all I really did. Like I said, I've just been busy trying to get back into the flow of work, but yeah, I mean, there you go, that was my week. So with that being said, let's move on to the news. Alrighty, so the first news story that I want to talk about that I thought was quite interesting is that apparently there is a Conker statue available to pre-order, but it's like really expensive. So for anyone who played Conker's Bad Fur Day back in the day, you might remember that was, you know, starring Conker the Squirrel. It was an M-rated game, which was like really, I guess you can say rare at the time for a Nintendo 64 game, and it was really crude. It had a lot of cussing and innuendos, that sort of stuff. And unfortunately, Conker never got a sequel, even though like there were ideas for a sequel game. But I mean, I don't know, it seems like people have not forgotten Conker because yeah, there's this little, well, not even little, it's actually quite a huge statue that's being released. And it's actually being released by First 4 Figures, which actually make like a lot of gaming statues and like other, you know, like figures and stuff. But anyway, yeah, so First 4 Figures making this Conker statue. It is 19 inches in height by 18 inches in width. And there's 3 formats. There's the standard edition, which is just a statue, the exclusive edition, which adds a commemorative metal coin. And both of these editions, standard and exclusive, cost, let's see, $430. And finally, there's the definitive edition, which includes an alternate bejeweled footstool and like a bigger crown for Conker. And this one cost $550. So yeah, if you miss Conker and you're hoping for a sequel, I mean, there you go. We're not getting a sequel. Honestly, Microsoft's probably going to just let Conker sit in the dungeon some more. But if you have the money, you can at least buy this figure, which I'm not going to lie, it's a really cool statue and it's really big. But yeah, there is no way I just have like $400 to throw at the screen for this. But I still thought it was an interesting story, so there you go. The next story that I want to talk about is that apparently Quantic Dream teased that there's an upcoming great news on Twitter. So for anyone who doesn't know, Quantic Dream is the studio behind Detroit Become Human, Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, you know, all those games. And basically, the director of the games, David Cage, he put out this tweet saying that there's some great news on the horizon and for fans to stay tuned in. And I don't think I've ever talked about David Cage or his games on my channel. So I thought this was a good chance to, you know, give my opinion of him and the studio. And so, you know, if you like his games, you know, nothing personal. If you like his games, that's fine. But personally, I hate David Cage. I hate his studio. And I think all his games are just the most pretentious garbage ever. All right? Like I said, that's just my opinion. If you like his games, that's fine. But yeah, I hate his games. I feel like he always says he wants to like be cinematic and he always wants to make his games like movies, but that's just like, it's just so pretentious because the point is games aren't supposed to be movies. And the fact that he takes away all the gameplay is just terrible. And like the way he takes away, he always makes his games seem like you have choice and like your choices matter, but they don't. And I hate that. I mean, I hate that in Telltale games, but at least there you see some scenes change or whatever. But lots of times in David Cage games, you'll supposedly make a choice and it doesn't matter anyway. And he knows it too, which is why he says like, oh, you know, to not play his games twice because you'll notice how things kind of fall apart. But yeah, just in case you're wondering what I think of David Cage's games, I don't like them. I think they're all very pretentious. Detroit Become Human had lots of good ideas, but there was just so many mistakes along the way. I think that Marcus's story was just so heavy-handed. I think that the way that they try to like make robots and slaves like an analogy for each other is terrible. It doesn't even make sense. A lot of stuff ends up becoming more racist when you look at it. I think that, what's her name? Kara's story with Alice, complete waste of time. When you find out the twist, which is like the stupidest twist ever, totally ruins her narrative, makes it so that everything you did was pointless. And Connor's story was good. Honestly, Connor, which is the detective robot, him and Hank, which is the grizzled cop, their story is great, but that's like 1/3 of the game that I enjoyed. So like that's really sad. When it comes to Heavy Rain, overall, I get what he was going for. It was very interesting, like it's like a mystery thing. But once again, there was just so much stuff that's wrong with it. I mean, like he in his games always puts the females into unnecessary danger. He always puts them in situations where they're basically going to get raped, which he does there with the heroine, Madison. He does that in Beyond Two Souls with Jody. But yeah, like he, you know, so much tropes. Like he's always putting the females in situations where they're going to get raped and they always fall in love with the main hero for no reason, even though there's no chemistry. And in Heavy Rain, he tries to do this twist that makes no sense. And basically, in order for the twist to even work, like basically the game has to lie to you, which really sucks. I don't know. I mean, I'm just spending a lot of time basically talking crap about David Cage's games. But the point is, I don't like them. I feel like they're very pretentious. I feel like he's always trying to go for this cinematic experience. And he's trying to make these big stories, but he just sucks at writing, honestly. Like it just feels like he is not a good writer at all. I mean, I just remembered the last game I was gonna talk about. It's Fahrenheit, also known as Indigo Prophecy. Like in that game, for instance, he mixes like Mayan Satanists, which doesn't even make sense. Why would a Mayan priest use a pentagram. Doesn't even make sense why he would use that. Mayans don't believe in Satan, but whatever. He mixes like Mayan Satanists with AI and with ghosts, and he just mixes all these things together that make no sense. It's like he's just trying to like shove everything. I don't know. Like I said, I'm ranting a lot. Point is, I don't know what Quantic Dream is teasing that's coming up, but yeah, screw that company. All right. Not only that, but they also got in trouble for being like really abusive to their workers and like really like very I think they got in trouble for sexual harassment. So screw David Cage and screw his company, basically. Let's move on. The next story I want to talk about is that apparently Netflix has been warning its viewers away from attempting the viral Bird Box challenge. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, Bird Box is this movie that came out earlier this month. Well, I mean, I guess you could say it was in December, so earlier, like last month. Came out in Netflix, and it's this post-apocalyptic film. Like the main character, Sandra Bullock, and she has to cover her eyes because there's these like supernatural entities that cause mass suicide due to manifesting as people's worst like fears and regrets. And so basically people, cover their eyes. That way they won't see the entities, right? And so yeah, right now there's a viral challenge called the Bird Box Challenge where people are doing stuff blindfolded, to like recreate the movie. And even though no one's been hurt yet, Netflix put out this tweet that says, "Can't believe I have to say this, but please do not hurt yourselves with this Bird Box challenge. We don't know how this started, and we appreciate the love, but boy and girl," which are two characters in the movie, "have just one wish for 2019, and it is that you do not end up in the hospital due to memes." And so yeah, like I said, nobody's gotten hurt yet. But obviously Netflix is worried that people are going to be idiots and hurt themselves by being blindfolded, and so they put out that tweet. And honestly, just reading that story just makes me shake my head and makes me facepalm, because when are people not doing dumb challenges that could hurt them? Why people think these are worth it or fun, I don't know, but there you go. Don't try the Bird Box challenge, people. Moving on, I have another movie story, which is that Back to the Future director says another sequel can't be done. So basically what this story is talking about is, I guess there was a poll done on some website or something. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, Yahoo did an interview with the filmmaker, which was director Robert Zemeckis, I think that's how you say his name. But basically they had an interview with him, and they did a poll asking people if they'd like to see another Back to the Future, basically. And yeah, basically Robert Zemeckis has come out and said that he does not plan to make another sequel, and that he doesn't think there should be another sequel. Basically, like right here, his statement is that even though people are saying that they approve, but I think what the poll is saying, they asked a specific question. So I guess they felt it was important to spend money to poll the world and ask this question. But don't you think we could all have just given them the same answer? It confirms what we all know, but what I think the fans are really saying is that we really like this movie, and if it were possible, I'd like more of it. But they understand it can't be done. So basically what he's trying to say and how he's interpreting it is that obviously, yeah, I mean, like, for instance, I love Back to the Future. And if you're going to tell me that, do I want more of it? Like, of course I'm going to say yeah. But I don't want it to just be crappy or out of place. So obviously I would say, no, if the choice was having like another movie, but it's crappy. And so basically I think that's what he's saying, that, yeah, sure, people sound like they want more, but obviously they want more if it's done right. And according to him, he feels like he can't do another one the right way, so there won't be more. And yeah, I don't know. I just thought this was an interesting story because with all like the reboots and remakes we're seeing all the time and sequels, I think it's kind of cool that there's a director out there who made his trilogy, he's proud of what he did, and he's not gonna make more. He's just saying the story is done, that's all the world needs, and I don't know, I can respect that. So I just think that's really cool, and I wanted to share that. Speaking of time travel and other shenanigans, this next story is all about how there was this strange Rick and Morty teaser that people think might be an indication of a season 4 announcement. So basically, I don't know if any of you guys watch Rick and Morty. I think it's a pretty good show. I think, unfortunately, the fan base has kind of ruined it, too much memes and stuff, which kind of brings the show down. But I think if you ignore all that, the show is really funny. It is really clever, all that sort of thing. And so, yeah, definitely, after season 3 ended, I've been waiting for more. I've been eager for more. And so, yeah, I mean, if there was going to be a season 4 announced, I think that'd be great. But the thing is, we don't know. Basically, like as the story talks about, the creators, Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon, they had like a lot of like negotiations and stuff going on with Turner Broadcasting, which is, I guess, like a certain cable network. And they were able to supposedly renew the series for 70 episodes, but they haven't talked about when those are going to air. And as the article also says, there was this big gap between season 2 and 3. Honestly, I want to say it was like 2 years, maybe even 3. Like, it was a huge gap. And so, that's why people are so eager for more of the show. Because usually, it's nice when like there's like a few months between seasons. But because it's been so long, people are just worried that something's going to fall through or whatever. And yeah, I mean, if you look at the clip that people are talking about, not much happens in it. It's just like a really surreal clip that just shows like a lot of different stuff happening. But because it shows this recurring character from the show called Evil Morty, which people think is going to be like a big antagonist coming up. Because it shows him right at the end, people think that might be like a clue that it's going to be an announcement for season 4 coming up. So, like I said, there's no clear indication yet when season 4 is going to come out, when there will be an announcement. But personally, like I said, I look forward to watching more of Rick and Morty. I think it's an enjoyable show. I think it's funny, but I guess we'll have to wait to see what happens. Finally, this last story that I want to talk about is one that really caught my attention based on the title, actually. So it's for this anime film called I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. And basically, as the title states, I Want to Eat Your Pancreas anime film's new English trailer streamed. So basically what it means is that this is an anime film that came out in Japan back in September. And I guess there's going to be... starting in February in the US, there's going to be English subtitled and English dubbed releases of the film. And, I guess hopefully it goes worldwide after that. And so it's talking about that. But like I said, the title caught my attention. However, once you kind of read what the movie's about, it makes more sense. If you're thinking it's going to be like some crazy zombie film or something, it's not. It says right here, the novel's story is told from the point of view of an unnamed protagonist who happens to find a diary in a hospital one day. The diary belongs to his classmate, a girl named Sakura Yamuchi, who is revealed to be suffering from a terminal illness in her pancreas, and who only has a few months left to live. Sakura explains that the protagonist is the only person apart from her family who knows about her condition. The protagonist promises to keep Sakura secret. Despite their completely opposite personalities, the protagonist decides to be with Sakura during her last few months. So I'm guessing that once again, similar to like Your Name and similar to Silent Voice, all sorts of movies, it seems like it's going to be like a teenage romance thing. However, this one seems like it's going to be probably even more tragic because this one, like, we have a character who's going to die in a few months, which seems really sad. But yeah, based on what they show in the little clip, which it's going to be in the article that I link in the description. It looks like it's going to be a cute, very emotional story. And once you kind of read the synopsis and put it together with the title, it's like, oh, okay, I guess that kind of makes sense. I guess, I want to eat your pancreas because, I mean, if the pancreas is what's killing her because of like, I don't know, blood sugar or something, I guess he's saying that he wishes, the main character wishes that he could like eat her pancreas, so to speak, to get rid of the illness for her. So yeah, weird title, but once you read about it, totally different from what you think, but definitely seems like an interesting movie. I had not heard of it before, even though it came out back in September in Japan, but now that it's on my radar, I'm actually interested in watching it because synopsis seems interesting. I am a big sucker for like romance, sad movies. I don't know why. Like if they're sad, I like that. I mean, I don't know why. I guess I'm just like a masochist for pain. I don't know. But yeah, now that that's on my radar, I want to watch it. And there you go, guys. If that's not interesting to you, it's called I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. And keep an eye out for it, I guess. Alrighty, and with that being said, that was actually the last news story. As I had said at the beginning, not too much news this week. I don't know if it's just because it's like the new year. Maybe it's January. I know that usually like in January, it's a quiet month for like releases and stuff. Maybe it's because of that. But yeah, not too much news this week, honestly. Like I looked long and hard, and these are like the 6 stories that I could really find. So, I mean, it is what it is, but as always, I hope that you guys enjoyed the stories. I hope you guys found one of them interesting or informative. Maybe one of the things I talked about during my week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that and maybe, gave you something else to watch or read. So, with that being said, though, let's move on to the last section of the podcast, which is, of course, the content creator spotlight. The content creator for this week is a couple that call themselves the Geeky Drinkers. And currently sitting at 269 subs, the Geeky Drinkers is one of those channels that had a unique idea and they're running with it. And I just think it's really cool. So basically, the Geeky Drinkers is this channel that focuses a lot on making different alcoholic drinks that are like themed, basically. So like looking at their channel right now, for instance, back when Bouette and Bowsette were like really popular, they actually made like a Bouette and Bowsette like themed alcoholic shot, Similarly, back when Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu came out, they made a Let's Go Eevee layered shot, And so, I don't know, I just think that's really cool. I had never seen a channel like this before, and so I think it's a really good idea to just have all these themed shots. So if you're ever wanting to impress guests or something, or you're just bored, there you go. Look these guys up, and they'll teach you how to make all these different shots using different alcohols and stuff, you know what I mean? And not only that, but while some of their videos are shorter and it's literally just the shot, basically, they have videos where they're making shots, and they have like other things going on. For instance, they have a video that's labeled Last Minute Costumes. And so basically it's them making shots while talking about like costume ideas for Halloween. And I know there's another one, for instance, where they have one where it says top 5 movies to watch before Halloween. And so basically they're talking about different Halloween movies to watch while making shots. So yeah, I don't know, guys. I think that they have a really interesting channel. I think, like I said, it's very unique. I had never seen the idea before, and I like it, I think that their personalities are really nice. They're really fun people. They're always like really chipper and energetic. The fact that they make all these shots and haven't run out of ideas is great. And so yeah, guys, like I said, they're currently at 269 subscribers, and I think they deserve way more subs. I think they have a really unique idea. So I would say that if you're a fan of, I don't know, pop culture and alcohol and themed shots and stuff, why not check them out? So yeah, Geeky Drinkers, if you guys are hearing this, I think your guys' channel is awesome. I think you guys have a very unique idea that, honestly, like, I don't know, I've never seen anyone else do this. I think it's really interesting. And yeah, even though I don't really drink, and I don't know if I'll make even half of these shots, I still always keep them in mind because, hey, they might just pop up at some point for me to make. I think you guys do have a good thing going on, and I say keep up the good work, guys, and here's to hoping that in 2019, you guys gain many more subscribers and views. And yeah, for anyone else, like I said, show them some love, check out their videos, maybe even give them a sub, and yeah, give them a shot, guys. And with that being said, that once again brings us to the end of another podcast. That is one more in the bag. As I said before at the beginning, I mean, a shorter podcast episode, but it makes sense because there wasn't just that much stuff going on, Like I said, personally, I only did really 3 things of note. There was only like 6 stories going on, but we'll see. I mean, hopefully January isn't too quiet. I know that later in the month, there's Travis Strikes Back, there's Kingdom Hearts 3, there's a lot of anime starting up. So, I mean, hopefully I have more things to talk about, later in the month. So, but yeah, with that being said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this latest podcast. Hopefully there was something that you enjoyed. As always, make sure to leave your comments in the comment section below. I love talking to all you guys. And until next time, my name is Wannabe Reviewer. Bye-bye.